Okay, part two. So, introducing patterns of total body connectivity. This is one of the fundamentals of the methodology of Bartinia fundamentals, which I love and have practiced as a dancer. But this is really a baseline understanding for anyone preparing specifically for my somatic work practices, whether you're coming to a live event or if you're participating on my YouTube channel here. I have a specific playlist just for somatic work that anyone can benefit from and participate in. But also this may serve you in your own somatic work practices, whether that's yoga, breath work, Tai Chi, anything that you're involved in. Reiki, there's hundreds of different modalities, at least dozens. I should say dozens. I don't know if there's hundreds. But patterns of total body connectivity. I want you to imagine an infant, okay? A baby, a newborn baby. Assuming that there's a healthy birth, this is a healthy child being born into the world, as long as the septum of their heart closes. I'm a science medical nerd. As long as their heart closes properly, and even sometimes if it doesn't, they will start to cry. They take in their first gasp, and as they breathe in, the septum comes together, and their lungs fill with air, and that is their first breath of life. Okay, this little baby. We each started that way, all of us. And that is the first pattern of total body connectivity, is breath, which is why that is a fundamental aspect of Tai Chi, of a lot of different kinds of martial arts and body training, yoga, Pilates, everything. And even if you get into advanced weight training, you're really training for something, the pattern of breath for that somatic movement is very important. So the first element is breath. Okay, being able to feel a big belly breath, feeling that center, feeling the lungs, everything filling up. That's number one. The second is, if you imagine as that baby starts to develop a little bit more, maybe a couple weeks, they start to have this kind of core distal effect. That's the second one, core distal, where they'll reach for something or they'll start doing the walking response. Obviously they're not walking yet, but maybe you unwrap them and they start kicking their legs, right? They're able to kind of extend their limbs, but they contract them a lot still. If you extend their limb, they'll pull really tight against it and contract. So they're starting to have that sense of inner and outer, that core and distal. That's the second pattern of total body connectivity. And that, as we grow into childhood, adolescence, and adulthood, that outwardness, our ability to give and receive, maybe that's been hurt before, and so we kind of stay inward. You can see it in like the posture and the way that you present yourself. Maybe you're a little bit more internal or reserved, or you get kind of scared in certain situations and you kind of collapse because you're trying to protect, right? It's like, oh, it's just like a baby. If you try and pull their limb, they're going to pull against it. Maybe something has happened to you in your life where you were being really vulnerable, or you felt like you were really putting yourself out there and it wasn't well received, or you were shamed, or maybe it was just a story that you made up about an experience that still lives within you. It wasn't necessarily the intention of people around you, but it happened, and so that still lives within you. So there's typically some tightness there where you just feel tense, and that goes all the way into our core and into our spine. Okay. The next pattern is the head-tail connection. So you can feel this all the way up from the top of your head down to your sacrum. That this is from your ideas, your intuition, your connection to God, down through your heart and down into your womb space. If we imagine just, the 7 corporal chakras, the crown, third eye, throat, heart, oh my heavens, your solar plexus, your womb, and then your root. Wow, brain fart. I'm getting into my body and out of my head as I'm moving here. Okay, it's fleeing my mind. If we think of that connection, from head to tail. That encompasses all of that. And if we go back to our little baby, right? Okay, they're reaching, they're coming in, they're expanding, they're coming out. They start to kind of lift their head, right? If you lay them on their tummy, this was you. This was you at one point. You would be on your belly and you started to crane your neck. You started to be able to arch your back. You started to be able to kind of sit up. You could do and even from the womb space, when you're in the cephalocaudal folding in the mother's womb, you expand, breath of life, collapse. You're able to extend into the core distal, but then you also, that cephalocaudal foldings, as you develop over the first few weeks of your actual mortal life, that you're not quite so tucked, the spine elongates. I have found that when we work in this pattern of total body connectivity, the head tail, that spinal connection, a lot of, if you lack trust in your own intuition, or if you've gone through a sexual trauma of any kind, or shaming, if you haven't been received in your feminine or masculine energy, whoever you are participating. A lot of my participants are women, so I think that's where my headspace goes. But if you've had any kind of shutdown, or you've been not received well, or you've been cheated on, or if you've gone through a divorce, or you've gone through a really rough breakup, a lot of those memories and experiences and patterns will be stuck within that head-tail connective process. So those first three are really where a lot of my somatic work practices come from, especially as we're warming up and we're getting into our bodies, okay? And then the others, we have body half. So we have our right side of our body that is separate and independent, although coexists with the left side of our body. But finding the yin to the yang there and that balance, there's some discrepancies. We have a dominant side. Our right side is typically associated with more of our masculine drive, our assertiveness, and then the more flow, the intuition, um, the ebb and flow. Yeah, just that feminine power is more associated with the left side. We have different experiences with pain. You may have more pain on one side versus the other side. You may have pain in this specific limb, and this may be from a physical trauma. I'm not saying that you haven't had an injury there, or that you don't have some kind of dysfunction there, but a lot of times that will kind of stay nestled and ingrained somewhere and really needs to get out. So we have that body half. That's as a child is starting to be more dominant with one side for reaching versus one side for stabilizing. We have upper lower differences. That's where we learn to locomote with our top half and bottom half when we're crawling, scooching, crawling. But then as we learn to stabilize more with our lower half and explore more with our upper half. And then the last pattern of total body connectivity is cross lateral, where we're able to not only just have this half and this half, but and top and bottom, but that can actually correspond and correlate from the top left to the bottom right and vice versa. And that gets into a lot of spiral and outward motion, and does continue to work from the head tail space as well. So those are the 6 patterns of total body connectivity. Again, that's Bartunia fundamentals. And none of those movements are hard. And it really is open to explore in my class. It's not like a disciplined, oh, this is the exercise we're doing and you're following me and this is exactly how. No, this is not a look good class. This is not a dance class. There are improvisational motifs and moments and experiences, but they are all self-guided, and you allow your body and for what comes up for you to connect to your breath, and then those other patterns to be able to allow anything that's nestled. Or it doesn't always have to be something negative. Maybe there is a element of joy and happiness that has been living within you that you haven't really been releasing, or that you can experience more. And maybe we want that to come out more. Maybe that's your intention for this practice. Maybe it's I'm practicing celebrating my life. Maybe it's I'm bringing out my inner child because I'm always so serious. I'm taking care of my kids, or I'm taking care of work, and I'm doing all of this. But getting into that playful side and just allowing yourself to explore just for the sake of happiness and goodness. We don't always have to go into a deep, dark, like inner landscape, serious note healing trauma space. It can be lighthearted, it can be alleviated for you. Whatever will serve you best as you get ready to engage in somatic practices is exactly where you should go. Listening to that intention, your connection with God, your connection with yourself, and being able to find peace and grace and enlightenment. Really, we're raising our vibration, we're raising our frequency, and allowing ourselves to be enlightened and taken to a higher level for our life. And then we are able to raise the vibration and frequency and spirit and joy and love in those that we interact with. We show up better for our families, for our friends, for our coworkers, for the world when we elevate ourselves as well. So I look forward to practicing further with you, whether that is here on my YouTube channel or whether that is at an in-person facilitating class. If you ever want to come to one of my classes or come check out any of my clinics or places that I frequent, you are welcome to come and join.